When Jesus stirs your soul, it's not a coincidence, it's a divine assignment awakening inside you. When your spirit begins to tremble in quiet moments, when your heartbeat echoes with questions you've never dared to ask before, it's not anxiety and it's not confusion. It's Jesus gently unlocking the reason you were born. This isn't just another spiritual phase. This is a sacred invitation sent directly from heaven, and only a rare few receive it. You've been marked, not with fear, but with fire. A fire that can't be extinguished because it was lit by the breath of Christ himself. Most people won't understand what you're going through. They'll say, it's just stress. Or, maybe you're overthinking things. But deep inside, you feel it. Your heart is shifting. Your eyes no longer see the world the same way. The things that used to excite you now feel hollow. And the things that once scared you now feel like home. That's not confusion. That's calling. That's Jesus moving within you. There's a sacred sign many overlook, subtle, quiet, but undeniable. It doesn't come with flashing lights or angelic voices. Instead, it sneaks in during life's most mundane moments. While washing dishes, sitting in traffic, lying awake at 2 a.m. And suddenly, a whisper, this isn't who I truly am. Your soul is remembering the divine blueprint it was created with. And Jesus is gently nudging you back into alignment with it. This shift doesn't roar, it whispers. You might be sitting at your job or standing in your kitchen, and suddenly, a deep realization passes over you. This version of my life isn't mine. The titles, the routines, the relationships, they begin to feel like costumes you've outgrown. The truth is, Jesus is stripping away every false identity the world placed on you, so he can reveal the version he designed. You no longer chase validation from others because Jesus is teaching you to listen to the only voice that matters, his. You begin to feel out of place not because you've lost your way, but because you're finally remembering the path he laid out before you were born. Where others find comfort in noise and distractions, you find peace in silence. You no longer fear being alone, because when you're still, you can hear him more clearly. Jesus begins to isolate you not to punish you, but to prepare you. In the quiet, he's sharpening your spiritual vision. He's pruning you. And that pruning may hurt, but it's how he makes room for your purpose to bloom. The money, the fame, the success, they start to lose their grip. Not because you're broken, but because Jesus is filling you with something more eternal. A hunger for truth. A thirst for meaning. A longing for heaven. Your soul begins to ache for something the world cannot provide, because it was never made to be satisfied here. It was made to be satisfied in him. You start to feel emotions that aren't even yours. You weep for people you don't know. You carry burdens you didn't ask for. That's not weakness, it's spiritual empathy. Jesus is opening your heart so wide that you begin to feel the wounds of the world. Why? Because he's preparing you to heal them, through his love working through you. You begin to receive signs, not always in words, but in moments, symbols, and divine nudges. Jesus starts to speak to you in ways that bypass logic. Maybe it's a dream that won't leave you. Maybe it's the same verse showing up again and again. These are not coincidences. They are confirmation. Your spiritual radar is awakening, and Jesus is teaching you how to read it. Suddenly, you can't ignore the suffering in the world. Your soul doesn't want comfort, it wants purpose. And you realize your life isn't just for you. Jesus is calling you to be a light in the fog, a hand in the storm, a voice in the silence. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to be set apart. Your presence is part of his plan. You release people, habits, even dreams you once chased. And you don't even know why, you just feel led to. That's the Holy Spirit clearing space. Because before Jesus blesses, he breaks. Before he builds, he removes. And that release is not loss, it's preparation. Your laughter sounds different. Your thoughts feel sacred. You speak with more compassion. Why? Because you've been touched by the hands of the one who created you. You're no longer the old version of yourself. You've been rewritten by grace. And this change? It's permanent. It's divine. It's Jesus choosing you for more. So if you've been feeling these shifts, if your spirit has been stirring, your heart breaking, and your world changing, know this: you are not broken. You are becoming. Jesus didn't call you to live a normal life. He called you to live a holy one. And everything you're experiencing right now is not a detour, it's destiny. Hold on. Keep walking. Keep praying. Keep trusting. Because the same Jesus who started this work in you will finish it gloriously. And if you're still listening to this message, it means you were meant to hear it. You are chosen. You are seen. You are loved. And your journey is just beginning. There comes a time when your laughter doesn't feel genuine, when even the brightest days feel strangely dim, and your soul begins whispering that something is off, not outside, but deep within. You may try to ignore it. You may tell yourself you just need a break. Maybe a weekend off, a new hobby, or a change of scene. But none of it heals that aching question rising from your depths: why does everything feel disconnected? This is the beginning, the sacred spark of transformation lit by the breath of Jesus. This isn't confusion, it's divine intervention. For those chosen by Him, this isn't just a phase, it's the unraveling of an identity that was never truly you. The self you once wore like armor begins to fall apart, piece by piece, under the light of His truth. Not everyone will hear this holy invitation. Many walk through life comfortably numb, content in the roles assigned by society. But when you belong to Jesus, when you're chosen for something greater, you can't stay asleep. You are awakened, sometimes violently, from the life you thought you wanted, and thrown into the path your soul was always meant to walk. You'll feel torn, conflicted. One part of you longs to return to safety, to the old routines, to familiarity. But Jesus keeps nudging you forward. The life you once had now feels like an ill-fitting garment. The places that once felt like home begin to feel foreign. You try to go back, but nothing feels the same anymore. The door behind you is shut, not by punishment, but by grace. Because Jesus isn't changing what you do, He's transforming who you are. And once the light touches your soul, you cannot unsee what has been shown. You cannot pretend anymore. You cannot unfeel this holy discomfort. It is His way of freeing you. As this sacred shift deepens, another layer peels away, and it often hurts even more. The relationships in your life begin to lose their former resonance. The people who once felt like your tribe now seem distant, out of sync. You'll sit beside a lifelong friend and wonder why their words suddenly sound hollow, as though your spirits now live in different worlds. It's not arrogance. You're not better than anyone. But your soul is aligning with the frequency of heaven, and not everyone in your past can rise with you. Jesus is moving you to a new realm, and some people are simply not meant to come along. And while that sounds noble, it feels excruciating. People will misunderstand you. Conversations will feel forced. And you may question if you're doing something wrong. But in truth, this is Jesus gently removing what no longer matches the sacred rhythm of your reborn soul. The shift may feel like rejection, but it's actually protection. The Lord is making space in your life for divine connections, for souls that speak your language, that walk your path, that reflect the love and light you are stepping into. Every tear you cry in this process is a prayer Jesus hears. Every ache in your heart is a page in the story He's writing through you. And then, without warning, you'll become hyper-aware of everything around you. Sounds will feel too loud. Crowds too chaotic. Rooms too bright. It won't just be overstimulation, it will be spiritual sensitivity. You're not anxious, you're becoming attuned to what heaven feels like and how far this world has drifted from it. You'll crave silence, peace, stillness. You'll begin to notice how noisy the world truly is when your heart starts beating in sync with Jesus. The entertainment that once distracted you will now feel empty. The chaos that once felt normal will now exhaust you. This is not weakness, this is your soul cleansing itself under the light of Christ. And though it feels isolating, this solitude is where Jesus meets you most intimately. He becomes your refuge when the world becomes too much. He holds you close when you can't explain your feelings to anyone. He speaks in the silence that others run from. So if you find yourself breaking down, disconnecting, questioning everything, don't run from it. Don't try to numb it. Lean into it. Because this is not the end. It's the holy beginning. Jesus is calling you out of who you've been so He can reveal who you truly are. You are not lost. You are being found. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt. You are not alone. You are walking with Jesus. There comes a moment when your soul starts recognizing what your mind used to ignore. That's not anxiety, it's Jesus calling your spirit to higher ground. You're no longer able to accept what once numbed you, because Jesus is sharpening your inner compass. Suddenly, the noise of this world feels louder, harsher, more invasive, not because you've become weak, but because Jesus has made you spiritually aware. Your skin tingles with the unspoken energy of a room. You sense people's hearts before they even speak. Their pain becomes clear, their stress becomes audible, and their intentions become readable, not by logic, but by the gift Jesus has placed within you. You crave peace, not to escape, but because that's where Christ whispers clearest. You pull away from what drains you, not out of fear, but obedience. Jesus is not shrinking you, He is filtering the distractions that blind your path. The food you used to eat without thought now feels heavy. The devices that kept you entertained now feel intrusive. Your system isn't malfunctioning, it's aligning with heaven. And that, my friend, is divine recalibration. Jesus is purifying your temple so that your body, mind, and spirit become worthy vessels of His light. You are no longer just walking through life, you are walking with Jesus, and when that happens, your entire environment begins to shift. There comes another turning point, one that feels strange, even unsettling. You lose your desire to outperform, to compete, to prove. That isn't failure. That's Jesus untangling your purpose from your ego. You're no longer chasing trophies that don't carry eternal value. You don't want to dominate, you want to serve. Not because you've become less, but because you've finally become aligned with your divine assignment. The race to be the best no longer excites you, because now you're focused on being faithful. Jesus replaces your obsession with performance with a desire for meaningful impact. When others seek applause, you're listening for heaven's whisper. Your reward is no longer in validation, it's in obedience. And this shift isn't loss, it's liberation. While the world keeps building towers to reach the sky, you dig deeper to plant roots in Christ. That's what separates the chosen. You're no longer climbing ladders, you're growing in grace. Then something odd happens. Time itself begins to feel different. You check the clock, and the minutes don't add up. Days feel like dreams. Hours stretch and collapse without logic. That's not confusion. That's your soul slipping out of man's calendar and into God's timing. Jesus is teaching you how to live in the now, because eternity isn't measured by clocks, it's measured by presence. You stop planning and start perceiving. You stop managing time and start flowing with divine rhythm. You trust that the right doors open when Jesus says they will. The right people appear when He sends them. And the moment you let go of controlling outcomes, you begin to walk in miracles. It's no longer about sticking to routines, it's about staying in the Spirit. The past fades, the future humbles itself, and the only place that matters is where you and Jesus are right now. And in that space, you begin to crave stillness. Not because you're depressed, but because silence becomes sacred. Solitude becomes sanctuary. Being alone no longer feels lonely, it feels holy. You pull away from noise, not in rebellion, but in reverence. Jesus draws you inward, because there's something He wants to reveal. Not in the crowd, not in the chaos, but in the quiet. It's in those still moments that He places the seeds of your next season. You're not avoiding people, you're protecting the atmosphere where God speaks most clearly. You begin turning off distractions, sitting in the unseen, and letting your soul breathe. In this stillness, Jesus prepares you, not just for peace, but for purpose. The world may not understand it, but you do. You now know, time alone with Jesus is where your true strength is restored. Then comes that unshakable pull, the feeling that you're here for something greater. You may not have the full picture yet, but deep inside, you know, Jesus didn't bring you this far to live an average life. There is a mission tied to your breath. There is purpose stitched into your heartbeat. You're no longer satisfied with survival. You don't want to just exist, you want to fulfill. And although you may not see the finish line, Jesus keeps nudging you forward with glimpses of what's coming. Your dreams shift. Your desires refine. And what once excited you now feels too small. Jesus is awakening your assignment, piece by piece. And the more you listen, the louder his call becomes. You're not crazy. You're not lost. You're being aligned. This isn't a detour, it's divine direction. And then, it happens, you can no longer pretend. You can't fake smiles or shrink your truth. You can't carry the mask of who you used to be. The world may want a version of you that fits their mold, but Jesus wants the real you. And when he awakens that, there's no turning back. You stop apologizing for your voice. You stop changing your light to make others comfortable in their darkness. You walk in authenticity, not arrogance, because now you're moving in truth. You don't want to blend in anymore, you want to shine. You become bolder, clearer, anchored, not in who the world says you are, but in who Jesus says you are. Every yes becomes sacred. Every no becomes holy. You no longer sacrifice your soul for acceptance, because you've already been accepted by the one who matters most. If you're feeling this shift, this stirring, this spiritual activation, know this, you're not broken. You're not behind. You're not misunderstood. You're being prepared. And Jesus himself is guiding the transformation. You weren't called to follow the crowd, you were chosen to carry the cross. You weren't born to impress people, you were born to impact lives. And if the old version of you no longer fits, it's because you're stepping into a reality that only Jesus could design for you. The sensitivity, the silence, the surrender, it all points to one truth. You're not just waking up. You are being anointed. You are walking a rare path, one that leads not to fame, but to freedom. Not to applause, but to alignment. And not to ease, but to eternity. May Jesus fill your heart with unwavering faith, your spirit with divine peace, and your path with unstoppable purpose. You are not alone. You are rising. And heaven is rejoicing.